Colorado Avalanche 4, Edmonton Oilers 2. Welcome back to the next day reaction with Zach Lang and I. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe before we get into the breakdown. And head to OilersNation.com for more in-depth analysis. Zach, we're on the brink of elimination, brink of a sweep. How do you make game 3?
It was a tough one. I mean, what else can you say? 36 seconds into the game, Connor McDavid with an incredible goal on his first shift, hops off the bench, finds the back of the net. You're like, wow, this is exactly what the Oilers needed, right? I mean, it was the early goal of a good start, get the energy at home ice, and then the Evander Kane hit happens. And we can go in about this later if we want to talk about it, but I mean, at the end of the day, it zapped some of the Oilers' energy right off the bat, and it made things difficult for them off the get-go. I think they lost some of that energy and momentum they had off the early goal, but the Oilers played a pretty good game, actually. Like, when you break it down and you look at the underlying numbers, they controlled 75% of the scoring chances at 5-on-5 last night, which is an incredibly high number for any game, let alone against a team like the Colorado Avalanche. But when it came down to it, the Oilers couldn't get a save when they really needed it. And I'm talking about the JT Compher goal after Bouchard rang the post on one end. I mean, just a terrible, terrible goal to allow in that situation for Mike Smith. It's a frustrating one. It's put the Oilers in a virtually impossible situation right now to have to come back and win 4 games, 2 on the road, 2 at home. It's going to be virtually impossible for them to come back, and that's disappointing. I mean, I think the silver lining is that there was a really good game played by the team last night. But what can you do, I guess, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people are blaming Mike Smith for the loss because of that JT Compher goal. But I mean, Mike Smith, he did play a pretty solid game. He made a lot of huge saves throughout the game, but when the Oilers needed that save, it was a soft one. Like, what do you make of Mike Smith right now?
Yeah, it's frustrating. I don't think he's had a very good series at all. I really don't. I think he's struggled to see the puck this series. He's struggled to come up with he's come up with some big flashy stops at times, but he hasn't saved the ones that mattered the most, right? I mean, the Compher goal, that's just a terrible goal to allow. I just, for every acrobatic save that he makes, he lets in an equal amount of terrible goals.
Yeah.
And, I think last night was just another example of it. So it's a frustrating situation to be in. Give Smith credit. Up until this series, he played a good role, and he definitely helped the team get to where they are right now. But it's also hard when the Oilers can't score at the other end of the ice too. After game, their 6-goal performance in game 1, they've been limited to 2 goals in games 2 and 3. That's just simply not good enough.
Yeah, and I think a credit has to go down to the Colorado Avalanche as well. They've been doing essentially what they've been doing against every other team, steamrolling them and making them play their game, right? So I think a lot of credit has to go to the Avalanche with how they've been playing the Oilers. And yeah, I don't think anyone really expected us to be on the brink of a sweep. I think a much more closer series. I mean, maybe that'll happen, but who knows, right?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this series, and I mean, it still could go 6 games. I mean, really. The Oilers can come back and win this game for Monday night here at Edmonton. And then all of a sudden, you never know what happens, right? I mean, again, I thought the Oilers played a really strong game last night. And, it was definitely frustrating to not see them be able to come out on top of that one.
Yeah, I'm really hoping they can pull off a win tomorrow, Monday night. Just because it'd be nice to hear La Bamba maybe played one last time in Edmonton. Just get that home win. And then maybe go to Colorado, put up a fight, see what happens. But I think one thing we need to discuss is maybe the penalties. Oilers have been, you could say, a lack of discipline on their part.
Yeah, I think that's part of it for sure. I think there's been some sloppy penalties that the team's taken. The Evander Kane one was a bad one, but
yeah.
You look at the way the penalty splits right now are in the series. It's 16-7 in favor of the Avalanche, right? I mean, the Oilers have taken 16 penalties through 3 games here. I know there's a number of too many men calls and a couple of weird ones that are in there, but at the end of the day, the Oilers have been putting themselves in bad spots.
Yeah.
And Jay Woodcroft after the game was none too pleased about the reffing. He didn't come out right and saying that there's issues with the reffing or anything like that. But as I quickly pull up this quote here from him, he was clearly frustrated. He was frustrated about the way things are going, and he said, there's a penalty discrepancy in the entire series. Tonight we spent more time in the box than we wanted to. That's for sure. And I think that's a good way to put it. The Oilers can't seem to buy a call in this round of the playoffs, and it's been frustrating to watch.
No, 100%. And I don't want to use, the officiating and penalties as an excuse to why the Oilers are losing, but it is kind of annoying that there needs to be that consistency. You see the Evander Kane hit. It's understandable. Probably deserves a suspension. But then you see the slew foot on Draisaitl. And it was like, where's the call on that? And then you got the Landeskog hit on Yamamoto the game before. And then Landeskog's coming out in the press conference. Oh, you're taught to not do that when you're a kid. I'm like, understandable, but it's consistency, right?
Yeah, and I think that's been the biggest issue. There's been no consistency from the referees, and on top of that, there's been no consistency from the Department of Player Safety. And that's equally frustrating too. It looks like Evander Kane's probably going to get suspended here.
Yeah.
It looks like he's probably going to be out of the lineup for Game 4. That's just kind of trying to read the tea leaves of what's going on and what's happening here. So it's frustrating. It's a tough spot for the team to be in right now. But at the end of the day, they got to find a way to get out of it. They got to find a way to make it work, and they got to find a way to try and play their game, right? So, should there be a Kane suspension? Yeah, probably. He probably deserves it. But I thought that the Gabriel Landeskog hit was equally as dirty. It was equally as dangerous. I think that is the best way to put it.
Yes.
It sounds like the injury to Kadri is pretty severe. You never want to see that happen.
No.
But, Kyler Yamamoto also likely is concussed right now. And he missed an important Game 3, and he's a player who's a big contributor for the Oilers out on the ice. So, should the suspension come down this afternoon, I've got an article written up ready to go here for OilersNation.com.
And then I guess look at the Game 4, it's kind of like just how Jay Woodcroft's been, praising it and saying it all season. We just play that. We take on the next hockey game, and then the one after that, if there is another one. It's the only way you could approach it, just one game at a time at this point.
Absolutely. It is one game at a time.
Yeah.
It's do or die. The Oilers have to leave it all out on the line in Game 4 here. And it's going to be interesting to see the way, Jay Woodcroft deploys the lineup again. Obviously 11-7 here in Game 3. I thought it worked pretty well for him, all things considering. I liked Brad Malone in there. I thought he was fine. I liked Chris Russell on the back end. I thought he was fine. But at the end of the day, it's going to be do or die. So, I'd expect a guy like Connor McDavid to play, 26, 27, 28 minutes tomorrow night. I'd expect Leon Draisaitl to be up there as well. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, perfectly put. And I don't know what else to say, really. It's do or die at this point.
Yeah, it is. It really was. It's they got to come out. They got to lay it all over on the line and try and give it everything they got here to at least try and win one game here.
Yeah.
I think, that would be a bit of a win, so to speak.
I guess I wonder, will we actually see Dylan Holloway? So many people want to see him, so many people don't think we should play him. But at this point, I don't know if it hurts to play the guy.
No, it doesn't hurt to play him. No, give him a taste of it. But at the end of the day, I think if there was a time for Dylan Holloway to draw in the lineup, it was last night, and the team chose not to do that. So, Holloway will be an NHL player every day come next regular season. So that'll be definitely something the club can look forward to.
I think the only reason I bring up Dylan Holloway is if Vander Kane gets a suspension when he will, does he draw in the lineup? Who goes in for Kane?
Yeah, I mean that's a good thought, was. I mean, it definitely would make sense for Holloway to fill in. I think Holloway plays a very similar game to Evander Kane from what we've seen and heard about his time in Bakersfield. So I think that's the most logical fit there, especially because you need to try and replace some of that skill with some skill, right? Devin Shore, Josh Archibald. I mean, those aren't guys that are going to move the needle for the team that way. So a guy like Holloway sliding in can make a lot of sense.
Agreed. And that's it for our Game 3 next day reaction. Hopefully, we'll have one more, obviously, after Game 4. Hopefully it's not the series ending one. But thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, we'll see you next time.